Hello, everybody. Bonjour, and welcome to another French GCSE and iGCSE video tutorial. So in this particular tutorial, we're going to look at the photo card and how to prepare as best as possible for the photo card, which is an important part of the French GCSE and iGCSE speaking exam for certain exam boards. So, just to introduce myself briefly first, my name's Dhananjay Talwar. I studied French and Italian for my MA at the University of Cambridge. I graduated all the way back in 2015. And I've been an educator ever since that time, mostly as a full time tutor. I'm really passionate about languages myself. I've learned more than 20 of them to different levels, of course, but that does include at least 9 of them to fluency. So it's something I'm somewhat passionate about, you could say. And I love, of course, motivating my students and helping them to get to their language learning goals, such as achieving their target grades. So far, I've helped more than 500 different students achieve or exceed their target grade for French GCSE or iGCSE as a tutor, and I have taught various other languages as well, about 8 of them for GCSE and iGCSE, and some of those at higher levels, of course, too. Okay, so before delving into the actual substance itself, let's just have a quick look at the French GCSE and iGCSE exam boards. So as of July 2025, there are 4 exam boards for GCSE French and 2 for iGCSE French. And as always, I recommend that you become familiar with your exam board and aware of which particular exam board you are taking as early as possible. And the content of today's video is going to be relevant for anybody who's studying AQA, Pearson Edexcel, or WJEC Educas. So those 3 exam boards which are in bold here. So if you're a student of CCEA or any of the iGCSE French exam boards, Cambridge iGCSE or Pearson Edexcel iGCSE, then this video is not as relevant for you because the photo card is not actually part of your exam. But if you're taking one of those exam boards in bold here, then the photo card will come up for your exam. And so there should be a lot of value in this video for you. Okay, so we're just going to go through the basics of what the photo card actually is first. So the photo card is normally the second part of the French GCSE or iGCSE speaking exam. This was always the case, of course, for AQA and Pearson Edexcel GCSE. The format has changed somewhat for some of the papers as of the exams starting from 2026. And so the photo card may not be exactly the second part of your French GCSE or iGCSE speaking exam necessarily anymore. But it still does usually take place just after the role play and before the topic-based conversation. So the photo card is normally wedged in between those 2 other tasks. The photo card itself consists of an image or images based on a specific topic area for that particular exam board. There is huge overlap between the topic areas for different exam boards, but of course, do check the website for your exam board if you're unsure in any way about what topic areas could come up for your exam. It says here that the photo card can consist of one image or several images, or more than one image, because that is a recent change. It always used to be one image for the photo card, but with the new reforms for AQA and Pearson Edexcel GCSE, students of those exam boards will find photo cards with 2 images. So be prepared for that as well. The student has to answer questions based on the photo card and on the wider topic area. So the questions will start off very much specific to those particular photos on the photo card, and then they'll branch out to the wider topic area. So as a student, you'd have to be able to answer questions on both. And of course, you will have preparation time as a student. And during that preparation time, you'll have your photo card in front of you and with you, and you'll be able to plan out answers to the questions which you can predict for the photo card itself, such as how to describe the actual photo itself or photos. Yeah, that preparation time is certainly very important. And I do go into that preparation time and how I would use that preparation time in detail in other videos as well. So the photo card will often consist of up to 5 questions for the student to answer. Again, with the new reforms for AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE, this is no longer always the case. Those formats have changed somewhat, but it's usually up to a maximum of 5 questions. The student often also has to ask the examiner a question, and do check whether that is a requirement for your particular exam board. The first question will inevitably ask the student to describe the image on the photo card. And this has changed for both AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE, as in that the student will still have to describe the image on the photo card for those particular exam boards, but they will have to go into more detail. So for both AQA in particular and for Pearson edXL GCSE, that first question where you have to describe the image on the photo card, you're asked to go into more detail, and it's more significant than it previously was. There will be, for every single exam board, some unseen questions that are not written on the photo card themselves. So after your description of the photo or photos, there will be follow-up questions related to the photo card itself before you go into a discussion or conversation about the topic area that the photo card relates to. And those questions that come after your description of the photo or photos, those are not entirely predictable. So you may not be able to predict and prepare for those entirely during your preparation time, but you can still try and potentially anticipate what may come up and make the absolute most of that preparation time. The questions will generally be focused on the images on the photo card first, and then they will extend to the topic area as a whole. So you do need to do your preparation before your final GCSE, iGCSE speaking exams. Make sure that you do prepare all of the topic areas, because whichever topic area the photo card is related to, you're going to have to answer questions related to that wider topic area as well. Okay, so just some top tips before I show you some examples. And the examples that I'm going to show you of photo cards are actually based on the new format and new syllabus for AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE 2. So, of course, make full use of your preparation time. I've mentioned this already a few times because it's so important. That preparation time is the 10 to 15 minutes that you get before your actual French GCSE or iGCSE speaking exam starts. You can usually make notes on a separate piece of paper during that time. Do check this for your particular exam board as well. And so it's vital to make full use of that preparation time and to make sure that you go into the actual speaking test as prepared as you possibly can be. And ideally, knowing exactly what you're going to say as much as possible at every point in the exam. Make sure that you expand on your answers. So try to stick to at least 2 to 3 sentences per answer. Generally, as we'll see later on as well, it's better to expand more rather than to say too little. Particularly for WJEC EduCast, for example, which hasn't changed its format as an exam board for the speaking test. It's advisable to go into more detail and more depth in your answers. We're no longer talking about the role play, where the key is to keep it simple. For the photo card, you are required to expand somewhat more and to use a range of tenses and topic-specific vocabulary too. Topic-specific vocabulary is, of course, important for everyone to revise before they go before the day of the speaking exam. Using a range of tenses is also very important for the photo card. So that would be present, imperfect, perfect, future tenses at a minimum, and potentially conditional, pluperfect, or harder tenses as well, or harder verb forms such as the subjunctive too. The more you use, the more impressive it is, as long as those are used accurately in French. And remember that if you need to do this depends on the exam board. But if you do have to do so, then remember that you ask the examiner a question as well, because that is, if it's part of your particular photo card for your exam board, there are marks specifically for that too. Okay, now I'm going to show you some examples, and these examples, as mentioned, are actually taken from the new format, a new syllabus for AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE. So this is a foundation tier photo card from the sample material for Pearson edXL GCSE. Of course, there's more limited material for the new formats of these exam boards, AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE, because the format of their exams has just changed for all of the exams starting from 2026. Okay, so you can see the two photos which are given on the left-hand side. They will always specify, as they have here, which theme or topic area the pictures relate to. You can see that there are two photos here, which is different to what previously used to be the case. So again, watch out for that and make sure you get used to that. These particular photos relate to the theme of my personal world. And then you can see the instructions written here on the right-hand side. So describe one of these pictures. You'll tell your teacher which one you've chosen to describe. Your description has to cover the people, location, and activity. So that is very important. And when you've finished your description, your teacher will ask two questions relating to your chosen picture. You're expected to say a few words or a short phrase or sentence in response to every question. One-word answers are not going to be sufficient to get full marks. And then you'll move on to a wider conversation on the broader theme of my personal world. There's also a warning that the teacher will ask questions in the present, past, and future tenses. So that is to be expected as well. And the ideal answers that I've prepared for these are not going to be based on the description of the photos, because I've got another example of that later, but based on the follow-up questions. So the two follow-up questions which would be there for each of the pictures, or for whichever picture is chosen. Okay, so this is a look at the questions themselves. These are the follow-up questions, of course, the questions that would come just after the student has described whichever photo they have chosen. So the first step would, of course, be to describe the photo in some detail, and I'll give an example of that later. And then you would have two follow-up questions. Those follow-up questions would, of course, be different depending on which of the two pictures you chose. So for picture one, for these particular examples here, these would be the two questions. And for picture two, the bottom one here, the two questions would be the ones A and B given below. And now I'll show you exactly how I would answer these questions. Of course, it is a little bit different for the newer exam boards, or for the newer formats of these exam boards, AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE, because we're more limited in terms of sample material. But these are, you can see in blue, my ideal answers for these particular questions. So you can see that, unlike the role play, I've expanded a little bit more. So I've tried to give more detail. I've made sure that the answers that I give contain information which is relevant to the question itself. So I've made sure I'm answering what the question itself is asking, which is very important. And particularly towards the end, I've tried to use some more complex phrases and tried to avoid sticking with just the present tense. For example, I've used subjunctive forms like bien qu'il pleuve, and a si clause, si je pouvais, je jouerais au foot tous les jours, for example. So trying to expand, especially in terms of French grammar, and not limit myself just to the most basic tenses. Okay, so that is an idea of how to answer these two follow-up questions for Pearson edXL GCSE. Here is another example. So this particular example comes from AQA. Again, the new format or new syllabus of AQA from 2026 for the exams from 2026. This is a higher tier photo card. And again, I'll give a bit of time to look through the photo card itself. You'll notice again that there's two photos here, photo one and photo two. And AQA, the new format for AQA, is somewhat different for the photo card to Pearson edXL GCSE. They're not entirely the same, because for AQA, you have to describe both of these photos. You can't choose just one. And for AQA, you have to go into potentially even more detail when you're describing the photos, because you're asked to, well, it says the recommended time is approximately 1 minute for foundation tier when describing the photos, and 1.5 minutes for for higher tier, when describing the photos. So that's for AQA. So you've got to speak for even longer than Pearson edXL GCSE and provide even more detail. And again, You won't get specific follow-up questions on the photo itself, but you'll go into a wider discussion for AQA on the topic area, which here is the theme of popular culture. So the first question the examiner would inevitably ask on the photos would be "Parle-moi des photos," tell me about the photos. And you can see here exactly what I would do when describing the photos. So this is my model answer for how to describe the photos. I'll give you a bit of time to read through that. Of course, the question itself is, as always, in red. My ideal answer is in blue, what the candidate would say, or what I would say as the candidate. And the translation is provided just below in brackets in black as well in English. So I'll give you a bit of time to read over this and point out some of the features of my model answer as well. So I've made it very clear that I've described the first photo and the second photo. This would all be together while you're speaking as one answer. It wouldn't, there wouldn't be a break necessarily between the two paragraphs at all. But I've made it very clear which photo I'm referring to by saying at the start, dans la première photo, in the first photo, or dans la deuxième photo, in the second photo. And I've made it very clear that I have talked about both photos and I have described both photos because for AQA, that is very important. And there will be marks for that in the mark scheme too. Whereas for Pearson at Excel GCSE, you would choose one of the photos and only describe that one. You can see that I've kept, the grammar itself is relatively simple. In the follow-up discussion, I would try and expand more and even vary the tenses further as well. So not just sticking to the present tense. But when you're asked to describe the photo, whether it's for AQA, Pearson at Excel GCSE, or even WJEC EduCAS, the best things to talk about would be what you can see in the actual photo itself. So you can see that that's what I've done. You can talk about the people that are actually there. How many people are there? What do they look like? Do they have any distinctive features? Try and mention everything that you can potentially see in that actual photo. You can even use other tenses, for example, by speculating about what might have happened just before the photo or what the people are going to do after the photo. That's absolutely fine and can be a good way to incorporate other tenses too, which is impressive and even recommended. You can see I've tried to go into a bit of detail, so at least a few sentences per photo, if not more, because for AQA you're asked to ideally describe the photos for at least a minute, foundation tier, or go up to a minute and a half for higher tier. So I have provided some extra details. Other things to mention could be things like the clothing. What are these people wearing? How old are the people in the photos? What do they seem to be doing? So what activity are they doing? How might they be feeling? It's absolutely fine to not just stick to factual information as well. You could, launch some conjectures about how you think those people may be feeling as well about the activity or what it is that they're doing. Try and go into as much detail as possible, not just sticking to the facts of what you can necessarily see in the photo. For example, I've said that I believe that the film that the people in the second photo are watching is likely to be a comedy because they seem to be laughing. That's not necessarily correct or not necessarily true, but it's absolutely fine to launch conjectures and to suggest extra details like that. So those are the things, regardless of the exam board, that I would touch on when describing the photo or photos. Okay, just a brief quiz now. This is an opportunity for you to test your knowledge and test how well you've absorbed everything to do with photo cards. So, first question is, what would the first question on the photo card always inevitably ask you to do? Okay, I'll give a bit of time before revealing the right answer for this. Okay, I will reveal the answer now. So the first question on the photo card will always, regardless of your exam board or whether you're doing foundation or higher tier, it'll always ask you to describe the photo. So that is something definitely to prepare for and to try and maximize your preparation time by having a good idea of what you're going to say for this question as well and how you'll describe the photo. Okay, question 2 is true or false. So the photo card will always relate to one specific topic area. Is that true or is it false? I'll give a bit of time to think through before showing the answer. This is actually true. And that particular topic area will be stated clearly on your photo card as well. So make sure that you read and note all of those details as well while you're preparing. Okay, question 3, true or false again. So you should stick to short answers only in the photo card section. Short answers meaning, say, one word or a short phrase each. Okay, I'll reveal the answer now. So this is false. You should, for the photo card, unlike the role play, actually try and expand and show off your language more, particularly when you come to the more general questions related to the topic area of the photo card. Try and avoid definitely sticking with just the present tense. So try and incorporate future and past tenses as well. And make sure that you don't just give one word answers. Try and expand beyond that, regardless of your exam board or tier as well. And it's generally safer to say more rather than too little. So while 1 or 2 sentences could potentially be enough, expanding beyond that is also okay. Okay, question 4. Should you try and use different tenses in the photo card section? This should be fairly clear, but I'll give a bit of time now. Okay, and I'm going to reveal the answer to this as well. So yes, it's important to vary your tenses and incorporate at least the past, present, and future tenses, if not more complex verb forms, such as, say, the subjunctive, conditional, C clauses, and so on. You don't necessarily have to vary your tenses for in every single answer, every single thing that you say. That would be very difficult. But over the course of the photo card part of your speaking exam, I would try and use the past, present, and future tenses, if not more complex verb forms as well. And it can be a good idea to memorize key phrases before you go into the speaking exam as a direct way of potentially boosting marks too. So if you have any questions at all, or if you'd like to inquire about more personalized help, which I do offer too, then this is how to get in touch. You can contact me through email or via Facebook or Instagram. I do post every single day on Facebook, Instagram, and even LinkedIn with tips on GCSE and iGCSE language exams, how to maximize your grades, how to prepare, and sharing my love of languages with the world, naturally too. I have many resources, including various free resources for French GCSE and iGCSE, as well as other languages too. So don't hesitate to contact me if you'd like access to those. And I do offer other classes as well, one-to-one classes, group classes, courses, and so on. So for any of that, don't hesitate to get in touch.